Hey guys, it's Ricky here, and today I'm back with another Star Wars review, and today I'll be reviewing Star Wars comic book issue number 3, Battle on the Death Star. So pretty much today I'm reviewing an old Star Wars comic book, of course. This comic did come out in September of 1977, around the time that Star Wars was released in theaters. And you could have picked this up for 30 cents back in the day. Before I start with the review, I want to give my backstory on how I came across this comic book. Pretty much, I have an uncle who collected comic books, and one day he showed me his comic book bin, and I came across the Star Wars comic books inside that bin, and knowing that I was a Star Wars fan, my uncle generously passed these down to me. So yeah, that's pretty much the backstory right there. So now let's get started. So here we have the front cover. We have our heroes against the Empire. You have the awesome Star Wars logo. And these old Star Wars comics were the first ones to be released, and they were made by Marvel Comics Group. Then up here we have the greatest space fantasy film of all. And we have an image of Luke, 30 cents. And it came out in September of 77. Battle on the Death Star. So here we have the first page. Up here says Stan Lee, and if you don't know who Stan Lee is, then you've been living under a rock. So we have Stan Lee presents Star Wars, the greatest space fantasy of all. We have the first page. It's pretty much where Leia is pleading Tarkin and Darth Vader to not blow up Alderaan. But Alderaan gets blown up anyway, of course. And I forgot to mention that this is a movie comic, which what I mean by that is it follows the events of Episode 4. On board the Millennium Falcon, here's the scene where Chewie is playing that game that I forgot the name of, with R2 and 3PO. We have some old comic book 1970 ads, which are really corny and funny to look at, and you'll see what I mean by that. Always let the Wookiee win. Moving on here, meanwhile, young Luke Skywalker is otherwise occupied, and we have the classic scene where Luke is training with a lightsaber for the first time against that droid that shoots laser beams at him. Laser bolts, not beams. We have an ad for Pacific Comics, some kind of old comic book shop. And then we have this really funny, corny weightlifting bodybuilder ad that you could get a perfect 12-pack body for $7.98. Which of course is one of those old funny gimmicks. And moving back on to the Star Wars comic book pages, we have the Falcon going through the destroyed Alderaan asteroid field. And now we're coming onto the Death Star now. The Falcon's landing on the Death Star. And one thing about these old Star Wars comics was the color scheme was a bit different from the correct color schemes from the movies. Right here are some comic book ads. And we have a Daisy shooting BB rifle ad. Moving back onto the pages, we have our heroes disguising themselves as stormtroopers. We have an old 7-Eleven Slurpee advertisement, which is really awesome, because I just found out that 7-Elevens were back in the 70s. I thought that they were a recent thing, but apparently not. And then we have another bodybuilding ad for the impossible, not for the super bodybuilding system gimmick. Moving back onto the Star Wars pages, our heroes are going on a rescue mission to save Leia. A old Slim Jim ad. Slim Jims are awesome. Baseball trading card ad from the 70s. Or actually no, this was some kind of a Twinkie ad. And here we have our heroes rescuing Princess Leia from her cell block. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the comic book. On the last page here, we have our heroes fighting the Empire. And down here it says, next issue, Ben Kenobi versus Darth Vader to the death. And sadly, Obi-Wan, he dies. And for our last ad, we have the 100 toy plastic green soldier ad, the Green Army Men, 100 for $1.75. And on the back we have some kind of advertisements for some kind of weird killer whale movie called Orca, opening in July at a theater near you. So yeah, so that's pretty much all it for this comic book review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your feedback in the comments section below. And my next review will be on Star Wars comic book issue number 8 Against the World. So yeah guys, until the next review, bye.